everyone, my name is Andy and I'm the nurse and this is the next in a series of educational videos on medical and nursing topics. If you have any suggestions for me, please let me know. Today's topic is a very loving one, our hearts. So originally, many ancient people believed that our hearts is where our intellect came from, and more importantly, where our emotions came from. How often when we feel something touching or sad or lovely, we put our hands on our hearts rather than our heads. We don't go, oh, I'm so in love. Well, maybe we might. But, we think it just feels like emotions come from our heart because that's where heartaches, you can feel heartaches, heart flutters, our heart beats rapidly when we're excited or anxious. Also, our own word courage comes from the old Latin word for heart, cor. If you do know French, the word cor is right there in courage. We know now that the heart isn't technically responsible for emotion. We do know that it very quickly responds to emotion. It speeds up hopefully when we are anxious or excited, and it slows down when we feel calm. Our heart is however, responsible for pumping 2,000 gallons or 7,200 liters of blood through our bodies every day. This blood is very important to us. It's called the lifeblood in a lot of cultures. It brings oxygen and nutrients to our cells, along with cells to fight infection, amongst many other purposes of the blood in the heart. The heart is a muscle, and it relaxes and contracts just like the rest of our muscles. When we're taking someone's blood pressure, the systolic pressure, that top number, the higher number, is the pressure on your arteries when the heart muscle is contracted. The diastolic is when it is relaxed. Our heart is relaxed 2 times to every 1 time that it is contracted. There is a direct nerve connection from the brain stem right to your heart that helps to keep it pumping, but you'll find out in a minute that that's not totally true. The heart is made up of 4 chambers or rooms. The first place that blood enters, that it has to go through after going through all of your body, is the right atrium. The blood moves into the right atrium, then it drops down into the left ventricle, the larger chamber, which is below it. Then after that, it goes into our lungs. In our lungs is where the blood exchanges carbon dioxide, our body's byproduct, for oxygen, which it's going to use for energy. The blood then comes back into the left atrium, then it goes down to the left ventricle, which is very large, and then it is pumped up through the aorta and through the rest of our body for us to use. So how does the heart just keep on pumping without stopping? In the heart, we have a small group of cells. It's in the right atria, and it is called the sinoatrial node, also known as the SA node, that starts that signal, and it sends it down to the AV node, the atrioventricular node, a little bit lower than that, and then it sends a signal down this bundle of nerves in the middle of the heart, between the right and the left side of the heart, that ends by contracting the heart to cause it to pump. The signals in the heart are totally independent without the input of the brain. As I mentioned earlier, the heart has direct nerves going to it from the brain, but these only assist in times that a heart needs some direction from the brain. So if you actually disconnected the heart from the brain, I do not recommend doing this at home, the heart would continue to beat on its own. So with many of its moving parts, it's amazing that our hearts keep the process going to maintain life for so long. And this is where we get into some problems that the heart can have. In fact, the leading cause of death in the United States is heart disease. In 2023, there were nearly 700,000 deaths in our country directly from heart disease. This is almost the entire population of Minneapolis and St. Paul proper city areas put together. I think that's around 750,000. That is happening every year. You're losing that amount of population due to heart disease. This is why it is so very important to maintain good heart health. A heart attack which is also known medically as a myocardial infarction, is the number one way that people die from heart disease. Muscles need oxygen to work, and the heart, just like all of our muscles, will stop working when it does not have oxygen. So why would the heart not get oxygen to it? On the heart, we have specific arteries that wrap around our heart that contain the needed oxygen to keep the heart pumping. Remember, blood contains oxygen. Oxygen makes muscles contract as one of its purposes, along with many others. Most of the time when our heart stops receiving that oxygen, or all the time when it stops receiving that oxygen, or when there's a block, it's because there's a block of arteries that's supplying that oxygen. These are oftentimes plaques that can form on the vessels and narrow the arteries to that heart. When that narrowing is nearly or completely blocked, a heart attack occurs. Sometimes you can also get a clot that can also block the flow of blood. Most of the time, it is a combination of plaques and clots. Along with a healthy diet, there are a lot of medications that can prevent this from happening. The first to prevent plaques are drugs known as statins. Common examples of statins are atorvastatin, which is also known as Lipitor, and simvastatin, which some people have heard as Zocor. There are also quick-acting drugs such as nitroglycerin that can very quickly enlarge those arteries on the heart to open them up so blood can pass through. Nitroglycerin, also known as nitro, is a very fast-acting medication that people can place under their tongue, and it causes a quick drop in blood pressure as well, but it does save plenty of lives every year. People can also take aspirin regularly or even in an emergency. Aspirin acts to stop blood clots from forming, but on the flip side, it prevents our blood from clotting when you need it the most, such as when you get a cut and you need it to clot. Other problems that we can have with the heart is that there can be a malfunction of the SA or the VA nodes. Those are those clumps of cells that deliver that signal in your heart to keep it beating regularly. When something happens with one of those nodes, the signal can be irregular, and it can lead to a heart problem that many of you have heard called atrial fibrillation, which is the heart beating irregularly, and that can lead to more serious issues. There's a procedure known as an ablation that the medical team can do by going into the heart with a tool, and the tool can actually destroy those bad cells that are giving the wrong signals. And most of the time, it can return the heart to its regular beating state, the regular heart rate. Additionally, we have that bundle of nerves that runs through the middle of the heart that contracts and causes our heart to beat. Occasionally, due to many factors, there can be a slowing of that signal to the heart, causing the heart to slow down or possibly even an irregular heartbeat. This is known as a bundle branch block. People with this often will feel fatigued because their heart just isn't beating the blood to their body as it should. It can cause a slowing of a heart. Oftentimes when this occurs, a pacemaker is the recommended action. A pacemaker will make sure that the heart beats at the rate it needs to in order to supply blood to the body. Now, I could make a series of probably 10 videos on the heart and the problems that it can have, but this will at least give you a start and a small taste of the bigger issues that we have with our hearts. So if you have any questions, please don't be brokenhearted and just reach out and ask me. Email me, talk to me in person. I hope you enjoy this, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.